Hello everyone. I want to finally announce the questions, 20 questions, and I'm going to ask 5 of them. So number 1, explain the difference between security and survival. Number 2, explain the commonalities of realism. So you should discuss 5 different kinds of realism in common. Number 3, explain the differences between offensive realism and defensive realism. Number 4, describe classical realism and neoclassical realism. Number 5, explain power transition realism. Number 6, explain the democratic pit theory. So we have learned during the liberalism, when we learn liberalism, the democratic pit theory is one of them. And explain neoliberal institutionalism. Number 8 is explain the main argument of constructivism and describe international relations through structure and agent. When I say like explain like this, you don't have to explain like as a whole because you don't have enough time. But if you explain detail, then it's better. Number 9, name and define at least 3 types of war. So I explain different kinds of war, and you should at least suggest 3 different types of war. Number 10, explain Clausewitz's concept of war and discuss its problematic aspect. So I explain what is concept of war by Clausewitz, and then we discuss what's the problem of Clausewitz had with different examples. So you should explain what's that. And the number 11, define total war and explain why it is not valid in contemporary society. So we talked about what is total war, and you should define first. And then we talked about why the total war is not valid anymore. And then number 12, provide at least 2 definitions of terrorism. So we have talked about I suggested 3 different definitions of terrorism. And you should talk about it too. And number 13, explain why feminism is necessary in the study of war. So you should explain what's the different perspective that the feminism has and why feminism is necessary and why we have to study feminism when we study the war. Number 14, provide examples of state-based terrorism and sub-state terrorism. So if you find a slide, I suggest 2 things. So one slide you can find it. Number 15, what is a genocide recognized internationally, and explain the 5 criteria for genocide to be established. So I explained there are only 3 genocide which is conventionally acknowledged and recognized as a genocide. So you should uh, provide 3 things. 16, explain 3 approaches to understanding ethnic conflict. And 17, explain 3 causes of ethnic conflict. Number 18, briefly explain the cause of the Rwanda genocide in terms of 3 aspects of ethnic conflict. So based on 16, number 16, I ask 3 approach to understanding ethnic conflict. And then based on these 3 ethnic conflict, you should explain why the genocide, Rwanda genocide occurred. Number 19, constructivists emphasize norms and ideas and illustrate their roles with examples. That means, so I explained like the constructivists emphasize norms and ideas, and I gave a lot of examples what happened if norms and ideas were emphasized. So I gave a specific examples why I can't explain right now, but I explained with uh, specific examples. So you should talk about that specific examples and that example, within that example, how norms and ideas works. But you don't have to give a very detail because we don't have enough time, but you should explain it. And number 20, compare the objective of terrorism and war briefly. So I said terrorism has different objectives, so that's why they use different tactics. And I want to hear from you. So good luck. I will see you on December 19th.